All right. Welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. It's been so long, I almost forgot the lead-in. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoy.
Brian Chesko.
You know, it's not one of those things that you rehearse, and then all of a sudden, you know, the spotlights come on. Travis gives me the pointer finger, not the other finger, the pointer finger, and tells me to go. And I'm like, oh, it's been a few months. And but hey, guys, we're back. We are going into a brand new season. Brian coming off a record-setting season for him. Me, it was my highest fantasy finish, I think, ever last season. Still couldn't beat Mr. Chesko here, but not many can. And anyway, so I'm super, super looking forward to this season. So much to discuss. We have truly taken a summer off, and there's been times in the past where we've come back out and had 3 or 4 pods going into the season, but we have decided that, hey, we're going to have a preseason pod that we think, we always tell ourselves, won't be long, but I'm sure it probably will be. And then we're also going to have a promoted clubs pod. I can't even get that out of my mouth. Promoted clubs pod. I will not be here for that one. We are hoping to be honored by the presence of Mr. One Scott Wiebe, as you all completely recognize his voice. So I will be out of town, possibly out of the country, may or may not be in Mexico. So just throwing that out there, but we'll see. Worst case scenario, I'm sure Brian and Travis will be able to lock it down.
Yep.
All that being said, guys, we are here to discuss so many things. There's so many different areas that we can go. I think for FPL purposes, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we should just jump right into FPL rule changes. I know that we are all hoping on, like, when they start revealing prices and the rule changes, how was that going to affect the season? Last season, money didn't matter, right?
Right.
They messed it up in the beginning. That was one of the
big questions we asked at the end of last season. I think everybody was kind of curious, how would the pricing be this year? And I think overall, I don't feel like I saw many complaints. I feel like everyone recognizes that it was a lot of good moves.
All right, so what are your thoughts? You've now seen, we know all the prices of the players. We've all made teams. We will get to them. We will reveal our current teams with the understanding that, look, we still have 10-plus days before the season starts, maybe 14. I'm not doing the math right, but anyways, what are your thoughts on, do you think they got it right? Like, where did they get it right? Where did they get it wrong? Because there were some position changes as well.
Yeah, I mean, just right off the bat, the fact that you have decisions to make right away with the premium players.
Yeah.
So you
one big one.
Yeah,
the most expensive player ever.
Right. So you jack Haaland's price up to a place where now it is an actual choice,
right,
of whether or not it's worth it. And then the combination of him with the highest scoring player that, since we started playing, for sure, Mo Salah, and having the decision of whether he's worth it.
Right.
And then obviously
off the bat.
Right. So right off the bat,
we
having one or both automatically change. We've talked about that in years past, where if you put two players who are $12 in your team, a quarter of your budget is already gone. So so just that by itself, I think, forces some decisions. And then beyond that, I mean, I think the pricing on the trustworthy players is correct.
Okay.
So, and I hesitate even to put Cole Palmer in there. That's like an appropriate price rise, but for an unreliable, I'm not saying he isn't very good. I'm just saying we've seen it once.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of the other guys, the consistent guys, where you're like for Saka's son.
Right. Odegaard, maybe. Well, Odegaard didn't rise.
Well,
much,
just
really.
Odegaard stayed similar, but I'm just saying, like,
him.
Well, no, but I'm even thinking like De Bruyne, where you got a player where, for him, his price dropped a little bit appropriately, but still, like, he's someone you've seen do it before, and he's still almost $10. So just that pile of players.
And Palmer's at 10.5.
Right.
So
you have, I just think I think everybody kind of has it's the fact that you can find so many sources out there already saying, Haaland only, Salah only, Haaland and Salah, or neither.
Right.
So, and that as kind of the backbone of whatever kind of starting place. So you have 4 viable starting places based on 2 players.
Right.
And that, I think that automatically, I think the other thing I've seen pretty consistently from most the creator class is just the expectation of wild swings after the first game week. Just the assumption of there are so many good players at so many varying prices. All it will take is one wrecking ball and everything changes. Like, I should have, as usual, should have just bookmarked the funny post, but somebody said it like, somebody said, hold on, I can think of it. It's gone. It was there and then it's gone.
It will come back to you like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, it will
like
come
Miley
back.
Cyrus.
It will come back. Oh, just that I know. It was about one of the rule changes about keeping transfers. Somebody saying like the idea that people believe that they will have banked 5 transfers by game week 6 is, just that's adorable.
Okay.
So
what is the new rule on that?
Segue to the rule changes.
Let's go right there.
The first one is exactly that. Prior to this, you could bank 2 transfers. This season,
1. You
have a transfer. You could bank a second transfer,
and you could have 2 at the most.
That
in
never
1
roll
week.
over. Right. So now the transfer changed to 5 bankable transfers.
You can go to sleep for 5 weeks, come back, and
you
do
will
a wild
have
card.
5.
So clarify that, because ultimately we didn't say you can't bank 2. You can only bank 1, but you can hold 2. So are we saying you can hold 5, or you can bank 5 plus your 1 for the week? And
No, I
that's a total
think
of
that's
6.
That's a great
5,
question,
correct?
Travis.
I think it is a total of 5 transfers. So
Right.
instead
so you
of
can bank 4.
yes, you have
and
1 and
hold
bank
your
4.
current week.
And then your transfers, the second change for transfers is that they do roll over when you use a wild card or free hit. So you
don't lose those.
Right. So every season up to this point, that it was, hey, if you have 2 transfers and you're using a free hit,
The next week,
the following week you go back to the 1 transfer that you normally get. That's it. Your banked transfer does not roll over.
it disappears.
That is no longer the case. Your banked transfers do roll over after a wild card and free hit. So I think that's good. I don't
It's
see.
excellent. It should have always been like that.
I don't see how that's a problem. Like, fine, that's great. The mystery chip was added. Nobody knows anything about it because it's not available until January. I'm sure. Right. Who knows what it is, but I'm sure it'll be a super awesome fun blast. And then the scoring change. So the one change to scoring was a goalkeeper scoring a goal is worth 10 points now. So congrats if you get that.
Ooh, that happens once every 10 years, but
Maybe.
Great.
And then I think one that is the bonus point, the changes to the bonus point scoring system is, the short version is it benefits attackers, and it is at the expense of goalkeepers and defense. So the way the scoring changes, a goalkeeper and defender will now lose. It will be -4 in the bonus point scoring system for conceding a goal.
Okay.
So now in bonus point scoring, if the defense concedes or goalkeeper concedes, it's going to make it a lot more difficult, I think, for a defender to get bonus points, which will then obviously skew toward whatever the attacking player was or the people involved in the attacking phase of that. That benefits them much more, much more greatly. Goal line clearances are now a +3 in the bonus point system, and I'm not. So hopefully, anyone that's hearing that is not hearing 3 bonus points. That is entirely in the
bonus point
highly detailed BPS bonus point system that you can find on the. You can see the full breakdown of how the bonus points are calculated on the Fantasy Premier League website. But now, if so someone clearing the ball off the goal line is worth 3 in the bonus point system. Getting a foul, having a foul, winning a foul is worth 1. in the bonus point system.
Bring Bruno Fernandes into my team
Yeah.
today.
Bring
And
Jack Grealish.
both
Bring
Brunos,
Eze.
Bruno G and Bruno F, both draw a lot of fouls. And
Fall
then
down, Phil.
bring Zaha back.
Will.
And then a shot on target is worth 2 in the bonus point system.
Darwin, baby.
Yes.
No
So
one can
Woodwork
shoot.
isn't a shot on
So-
target, though.
Oh, you're right. Oh, no.
very true. So yeah, I mean, like Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, your most fouled player last season.
Really?
108 fouls drawn last season. So that's a 1. That's 108 points, obviously spread
That's
out
3
over.
a game?
That's
Ish?
probably, yeah. I mean,
2.8 per game ish.
so that would add up, and Bruno had a good, pretty decent end of season
It's
last
fine
season.
margins on some of those BPS systems
Yeah.
too, so
Right.
that could be the thing that
Yeah, so just looking through the list,
breaks
like
the
your
tie.
most fouled players were Bruno Guimaraes, Jordan Ayew, Mohamed Kudus from
Yeah.
West Ham,
Ugh.
James Madison, despite only feeling like he only played
That's
18
weird.
games last season, was the 4th most fouled player in the
I
league.
almost said who.
And then Saka and Anthony Gordon round out your top.
Wow.
That's just a top
the
6.
usual suspects.
Right, as an example. Shots on target, like just like second half of last season, like just as a as a comparison point. Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Haaland, Salah and Darwin, Isak, Ollie Watkins and Muniz from Fulham.
Yeah.
Like all of those guys are your shot on target leaders. I don't know. I mean, that may have, I'm sure a better podcast with better graphics could have pulled the numbers on that to show exactly what the bonus point swing may have been over the course of, say game weeks 20 to 38 or whatever. But basically, yeah, again, all of that to say the rule changes for like in this case, I think hurt the defenders, benefit the attackers. So that's where I would say the attacking defenders may stand to benefit a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
But that's only, I mean, so like Pedro Porro, immediately you're thinking like, well, Porro is one of your shootinest defenders from last season.
Rootin', tootin', shootin'ist.
But Spurs it felt like could hardly ever keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
So his attacking returns, like he may have been harmed a little more, for conceding goals, but on the attacking days may have benefited maybe beyond what he did when he got attacking returns. So that's just something I feel like that's something to consider. To me, it seems like, a clean sheet game in that case
should be more.
Well, I was
Like
gonna say, you're not conceding. I just think if you're adding more bonus points to the players who are doing the attacking, then and the numbers have already skewed toward the forwards when it comes to
a late goal.
Goal scoring forwards,
late goal.
right? They are almost inevitably going to get all the bonus points. So in a game like this, like now, maybe it is the midfielders who are drawing the fouls and doing the creative work. So your Odegaards and honestly, it's just Arsenal as a Declan Rice.
Yeah,
just thinking like Declan Rice may be exactly the type of player who benefits more from that because he is on set pieces. He was pretty creative last season, in addition to doing the dirty work tackling.
Right,
and then
that's interesting.
Yeah, and his goal involvements were his best ever. So that's the kind of player where you're like, I wonder what that will do.
Especially at his price, because I can't think off the top of my... I'm guessing he's 5'5".
He's 6'5".
6'5",
Yeah.
interesting.
So...
He did enough to justify that.
Anyway, that's the basic rule changes. I think they're...
Okay.
I think they are... Overall, there's nothing offensive about any of that. No, and no...
There's nothing egregious.
Right. So is it enough for everybody, in the scope of the full game or whatever? Like, is that enough rule changes to make the game really fun and interesting? Probably not more than what it already is. I think it's just that combined with, I'd say, very good pricing this season. At least
Travis,
at the outset.
Are you happy with the pricing?
Yeah, I think so.
Overall.
I think
nothing too egregious that stands out for you.
No, nothing crazy that I can think of.
All right.
Did you have? I mean, did you find? Would you find a real problem putting a team together? Or was there something where you're like, boy,
I have
that
money
just-
left over.
Yeah.
I have 0.5 at the moment, but I'll probably find some that.
Yeah, I'm not done tweaking.
Yeah, no, look, we're going to do team reveals in here in just a minute. And look, I just want it to be known that we still have, again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, 14 plus days-ish, 16, I think Travis is mouthing to me. So look, it's a lot of time. Transfers, we briefly discussed this pre-pod. Haven't been any ground-shaking transfers. None, I don't think that are really going to affect fantasy as we know it at the moment. Although every year, guys, this happens.
Yeah.
We are wild carding by week 2 or 3, Travis. And so, I look at my team and I'm like, okay, I got a lot of guys that I feel like week 2 or week 3, I'm still going to want on my team. But I say that every year, and I'm ready to just yank the plug and wild card at the international break. It feels like if I can,
you have to expect to do that anyways.
It's crazy, and I don't fully understand it. Well, I won't say the direction I'm going, but yeah, like I'm gonna be trying to figure out things. It feels like, but I don't know. I like my squad. I like them a lot.
Well, Dave, if
Don't
you
get
love it so
attached.
much, why don't
Do you want me to start?
Why don't you start telling us your formation, what you think your formation is going to be,
Okay.
and who you've put into that formation?
All right. I think my formation will definitely be 3 at the back.
Okay.
I will be playing 1 goalkeeper.
Okay.
And then it will probably be a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2.
Okay.
That's what it seems like at the moment. Although in years past, I've gone all money to starters because I'm pretty sure I know who's going to be starting the first matches. And my attitude in the past has been don't waste any money on the bench. I still kind of feel like that. But again, I have starters that I know have produced in the past. Like in my defense, all my defenders can play.
Okay.
And I think they'll all be starting. But 4 of them are 4-5 defenders.
Okay.
So I don't love it, honestly. But then again, as a lot of people and the pundits and other people are prognosticating, Brian, that this season defenders will be getting less bonus points and it might be less of an issue.
Well, last season, I mean, I think maybe it was just a feeling, or maybe, I mean, I'm sure the numbers, just the sheer goal scoring numbers from last season probably bear it out, but it just did not feel like
it was worth
it
having
felt-
much money in defense.
right. It felt like it was pretty clear that the defensive assets, it was much less reliable across the board.
Unless it was an Arsenal defender.
Right, which was why the Arsenal defense made such a difference, with 2 or 3 flashes of Kieran Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold,
Correct.
and Gvardiol
Correct.
at the end of the season. Other than that, it was primarily building around Arsenal.
Yeah.
Are you built around Arsenal this season?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Is
Smart.
that schedule related?
No, it's just when I was just putting together a team, I have 2 Arsenal players on my team.
Okay. And they're both forward.
No, I have 1 defender, but I might have to change that.
Okay.
Just because I'm not sure if he's going to be starting yet.
Your goalkeepers don't matter, so who are they?
Emiliano Martinez
Okay.
and
That's
Jordan Pickford.
Okay. That's a lot of money.
A little bit.
You're not gonna. That's
5-0.
not gonna. You're not gonna.
It's
keep
2
that.
5-0s.
Yeah,
You're not. That's too many.
I'm probably going to keep Pickford.
Okay.
I'm probably going to keep Pickford because I have 0.5 in the bank, and then I can actually change Timber back into Ben White.
Okay. So there's your.
All right, my first defender, Timber. Timber's, but I literally think I just talked myself into that. I'm just going to roll with Pickford.
Okay.
he's
now.
not played in preseason. Is he
Pickford?
No,
Timber?
He has played in preseason.
Okay, we were talking
But he
earlier.
just
it
didn't
made it
play.
sound
He
like
didn't play tonight.
Didn't play tonight.
He played a lot of minutes against United.
So
Did not
they're
play against Liverpool.
the
this
proverbial wrapping him in cotton wool.
Seems like it. Seems like he's bubble boy at the moment.
But is he going to play right back? Is he going to play?
I don't know.
What's he gonna do?
Again, the whole Calafiore thing has thrown everything kind of out of whack.
Right. I was
Easy.
gonna say
left back. No
I know
question.
that, but that's where Timber was going to be playing because Ben White's right back, and then Saliba Gabriel. I don't know who's playing left back right now, and Timber's the type of player I feel like they got to get him on the pitch. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Interesting.
Competition's good.
So Calafiore, you're staying away from anyways.
too expensive.
I think he started as 6.
He came at 6.
That is bold for someone who hasn't played a lick yet. I don't know if he's going to be starting.
And what's Timber at?
Timber's at 5'5".
5'5".
So Ben White's at 6'5". If I get rid of if I put a Flecken in there instead of Martinez,
Okay,
And,
Flecken.
and
Like
then
Flecken is okay.
anyways, I could get
The
to White.
fact
I
is-
could change. I know Ben White's starting.
I was going to say, the fact is, Gabriel Saliba and Ben White are still steady. There is no chance of Gabriel or Saliba losing their spot. Is there a slight chance of Ben White losing his?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then
I don't think so.
And then the left side, there is 0 chance that Zinchenko is your week 1 starter.
0 chance.
There is 0 chance that Jacob Kivior is your week 1 starter.
0 chance.
And there's 0 chance that Takahiro Tomiyasu is your week 1 starter.
He has not played any in preseason yet. He's nursing an injury.
Okay. And there's no chance
Isn't
of
he
you
always?
And there's no chance
Yes.
of you switching formations to accommodate what would functionally be a
And then
back,
back
a back
4.
5.
5. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Well,
So
it would
3
be a
and
back 3 with
wings.
wing backs,
Right.
right?
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't do that.
That could be possible, but I doubt it.
Okay.
Arteta hasn't shown that he likes to do that, but he does like to be flexible so he can change mid-game. One reason why he loves Kai Havertz.
I guess that's the question with the Arsenal defenders. I mean, you saw the final, after all of the moving and shuffling and everything like that, the fact that Ben White finishes 18 points ahead of the next highest scoring Arsenal defender to me is wild. Just thinking back on that he ended up being the number 1 guy, and
It's crazy. That is crazy.
it was always Gabriel and Saliba all season
and
long.
no one hardly ever talked about White.
Right, and so, but he only missed 1 game. Gabriel missed 2. Saliba played every game of the season, and then all of your other guys sprinkling in there.
Here,
And Ben White finishes with the most goals, and Gabriel finished with the most shots. And somehow everyone coming into this season is talking about Saliba being the safest.
I know. So I will say this, and this is something my sources have told me. Arteta's on record as saying, because he's been asked about Calafiore, who plays center back and left back. Timber played center back at Ajax before he came to. He can play left back and center back as well. They were asking me, you have so many defenders right now. Like, what are you going to do with all these people? And he said, well, I'm paraphrasing here. We don't want Gabriel and Saliba to play 50 games each again.
Okay.
So
Their defense is stacked.
I don't know. The Arsenal defense might get tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
And look, for the first 5-6 games, I don't think it moves. I think it's Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber. Probably.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's enough for Calafiore to get up to speed. Maybe Timber's not. I mean, I don't know.
The fact that 3 of your first 5 are you get to get smacked again in week 2 by Aston Villa away, then you get smacked by Spurs in the North London Derby in week 4, and then you get smacked on the road right after that in game week 5 by Manchester City. You start the season with 3 losses out of your first 5. How are you going to bounce
Well, we're
back?
only going to lose 3 games all season, so those might be the only 3 games we lose.
How will
all
you bounce
season.
back after that? With Liverpool looming in game week 9.
They're going to win that one.
We'll be fine. I think
After
we'll probably.
today.
I think we'll probably win that one. But
Anyway,
you can't
no.
count on anything in this
No,
league.
but-
That's for sure.
I guess, are you as optimistic or bullish about your defense? Where last year they were they were points ahead of everyone.
So far.
Yeah, I think they could actually be better,
Okay.
which is crazy to say.
But it sounds like the points are going to be spread out more this season, though. If
Points
Arsenal,
being what?
if Arteta is to be believed,
That he's not going to be playing the 2 center backs.
it's going to be trying to pick a Manchester City defender all over again.
Here's the other thing: you can always say that, and then once you get into the middle of the season, you're like,
but it's
why should we stop this mojo from rolling?
I think after
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, but
after the point. No, I was going to say just safety. Would you say that Saliba's the safest?
Yeah, I think Saliba and Ben White and Gabriel are locked in starters, and I don't think anything's changing that.
So then,
Barring injury,
so I guess
injury will change that.
Given the bonus point thing as a maybe something to help move the needle for somebody, like Gabriel takes the most shots and it's not close. He took 31 shots. The next closest was Ben White with 13. And then Gabriel and Ben White are your top two in shots on target. So Gabriel put 10 on target. Ben White put 8 on target. And then you have Ben White creating 38 chances, which was by far the most of any of the Arsenal defenders. So to me, either Ben White is worth that extra 0.5, or you get the guy who is still the goal threat, which is something I totally ignored. I didn't care about it at all to start last season.
Yeah.
And as the season wore on, I was like, holy cow. I mean, why don't you skew toward the guy with the higher XG, with the guy that's putting 1,000 shots on goal, where we saw repeatedly that Saliba just simply doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's just part of the...
Even though Saliba finished 15 points.
Where he finished 15 points ahead of Gabriel.
And a better left back is going to open things up for White as well. I think that's important to note, too. Most of the service came from the right from White. The amount of possession, their heat map was heavily skewed to that right side.
It's White, Odegaard, Saka on that right side.
Exactly.
And that will balance.
And having a more capable left back
Calafiori
will
Timber
will help to balance that to help
Martinelli.
Correct.
Right.
Which will benefit more than just the right back, left back, but also Martinelli potentially if he's getting more support and better service.
All right. Let's move.
So your defense, you've tucked yourself into Ben White.
Yes.
And you are not interested in that 0.5 savings on Saliba and Gabriel.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm going to commit to the money.
All right. Who else?
I got Konza.
Okay.
I got Kirkes. Anderson. Kirkes can be traded for anyone. Anderson and Byrne.
Okay, so you're super cheap.
Yep. Super cheap in defense.
Okay, great.
That means you did pick up Holland. You needed the money.
We'll find out. Midfield.
So,
all right. All right.
Just one thing for Villa. I feel like Villa. I just feel like they still feel so defensively mysterious.
So,
I agree. I just look at when Villa plays at home, they have a decent chance at a clean sheet, and I'm not dumping tons of money. And they finished in the top 4. Now,
remember too, they picked up Onana.
Oh, right.
Yes. They were missing someone to shield their back four.
True. Right.
And they have a player that has proven in the Premier League that he can do it better than most. Because Everton's back line, they were terrible.
Except for
Branthwaite.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying before that, like historically, right. And he shielded them and kept them in games a ton. So just throwing that out there. Yeah. I think that's a good pickup.
Yeah, no, well, thank you. I hope so. But that was my thought process.
No, I was looking through
I just like Villa's defense a little bit more than maybe I should.
Yeah.
No, and he's the one guy. Like you could, the Pau Torres had a moment last season where he was kind of a darling pick, but then he got hurt, so we didn't really get to see, I don't think, like fully what that was. And we kicked around forever, like which of Matty Cash. Everybody wanted Matty Cash because he had one good game the entire season and then did nothing, and then Matty Cash became a non-factor, and then Dean and Moreno going back and forth, and which is now hopefully Ian Matson is the guy who can take that spot.
And that was what I was just getting ready to say. I think Ian Matson is the pick.
Yeah.
Alongside of Konsa, if you're going to go with Aston Villa's defense. I honestly think that's going to to be a very offensive
Yeah, I have a couple
defender.
I have a couple good quotes and notes for Matson. It's too soon to tell with him. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just he needs to make he needs to kick the two old guys out and just make that his own spot. And you would think that he should have an inside track on that, considering he was in the Champions League team of the season.
Yeah, Cash is a liability on the field, and Moreno is never on the field, so he's a liability in that respect. So I don't think that that's going to be too much trouble.
All right.
Plus, they paid money for him.
So Ben White, Konza, goalkeepers Fleck and Pickford. Okay, again, Ben White, Konza, and
A Crystal Palace.
I'm constantly making changes. By the way,
Anderson.
So I mentioned.
I just didn't know.
I mentioned a name a minute ago, but that Kirkez is now turned into Mikalenko.
Great. That's good.
Perfect. Anderson and Byrne. Anderson
My one note on Bournemouth that I wrote at anywhere was, if you can put anyone other than Solanke in your team at any level, then you have an FPL problem. Like if there's literally anyone that you're like, oh yeah, sure, Clivert, he had a great run there toward the end.
Sure.
I think I'll throw him in, and it's just like there is no
I need to make some
reason.
changes to my team now.
Midfield. Leading the line, Cole Palmer.
Okay,
Saka.
week 1.
Week 1.
Okay, you're not worried about this.
Yeah, I am.
He's gonna play.
Right now he's in there.
Okay,
But I am concerned.
what would make you take him out?
If he doesn't start the last Arsenal friendly match, then I would yank him.
When's he back?
I think he actually came back training this week. I think he and Declan.
He didn't travel though, right? So
I think some of those boys are in London waiting for the boys to get back as they're going back tomorrow. All right. Cole Palmer.
Okay,
Saka. Brian Hyun-Ming's son,
okay,
which is probably Crazy Town. Your other boy, Eze.
okay. How can you not?
And then my 4-5 token defender
Midfielder.
is... Did you guys not get me one? I'm holding my hand out here.
I thought you were just
talking with your hand.
I mean, you guys, honestly...
You're just very handsy.
It's fair. I'm good with any... That's great. It's beautiful. Bless you, Brian. And then bringing up the rear is Harry Winks.
Okay.
How did you know that?
Just because
We have not talked about
he's
this.
the darling 4.5 midfielder.
That's annoying. It's annoying that you guessed that. All right. So
the obvious concern is first for your man Saka coming back and being available. So that obviously would change. Who would that become if you get news otherwise?
Mo Salah.
Man, that is a great question.
Sorry to make you think about this.
The easy answer.
I mean, look, if Foden's back and playing,
Not happening.
Sure.
Game week 1, not happening.
Why
game
not
week
Son?
1.
Why not Son?
Unless
I already have Son.
Unless Pep is lying, Foden eased in game week 2 or 3.
Okay. All right.
So the
Bowen.
the returning players not coming back right away.
I have enough players. I might just bench him. I probably wouldn't.
So
look, I could get crazy and go for Bruno Fernandes, which is stupid. But they're home to Fulham. I would probably pick someone who I thought I don't know, and then just transfer back. I don't have to worry about right now because at the moment he's 16. He's Saka. He'll play.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can hold up to a heavy load forever. I don't think it'll ever come back to haunt anyone.
Sure. All right. So that's the midline. All right. After assuming
the other thing for Cole Palmer right away, I know the obvious other problem.
Sure,
is
they play City
Manchester City
first
game
match.
week 1. You're not worried about that?
No, someone's going to draw a penalty and Cold will put it in the back of the net. And I love guys playing against their old teams.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Well, and then of course you don't have to worry about getting him in after that because Chelsea's
schedule
following 6 weeks or that's what you want. Yeah, want them for. Although you're also assuming that they've figured something out in some positive way about how they're setting up and what they're doing and who they are and how they're going to run.
Who's their manager?
It is the man.
I literally can't think of their man. I'm not.
Julian
He
Wait,
looks like
who you talking
he's
about?
the Pep clone.
Who are we talking about?
Chelsea's manager.
Oh yeah. What is his name? It's making me crazy now.
The fact that we don't know his name,
Well,
it can stay there.
no.
That is
No, Travis
deserving
knows.
deserving of a Chelsea manager. Travis is looking it up, so now it's not fun.
It's driving
Now
me.
it's not fun. All right. Front line, you ready for that? All right. Anything else with the midfield, it's fine, right? It's nothing flashy. It's a lot of money. It's
Maresca. Enzo
Maresca,
Maresca.
okay.
Oh, that was making me crazy.
210 players, 110.5, 17,
So 30 million in your midfield is a lot.
That is a lot.
But it's 30. It's 40.5 in my midfield. If you want to add the total,
yeah, with sure.
I got Eze and Winks at another 11.5. It's 38 total. Or geez, I cannot add.
That's a lot.
I mean,
It's 42.
I love Eze. I don't think that's any secret on this podcast. I don't know how you couldn't.
Sure.
I am
Indifferent.
concerned that Elise being gone is a negative shakeup.
He's still on pens.
I know.
And
I'm
he
not.
still draws a bunch of fouls. And my only regret in my team is currently I don't have Jean-Philippe Mateta
That's
in my
true.
Too
team.
expensive.
Mateta, yeah.
I
7.5 's too
currently
much.
don't have him on my team, and it's annoying. All right. Front line. Watkins, Isak, Cunha.
There's not anything wrong with that.
So I have no Holland, and I have no Salah.
Okay. And you have almost no money left over.
I have 0 in the bank. Shorty, what you drank?
What would does the openings? Well, I mean, I'm sure we can talk about once Travis goes because I'm sure he has someone Liverpool in his team. The opening schedule for Liverpool is, even if they are a question mark with the new manager themselves, the opening schedule's so good.
Yes, you're saying, David, you don't have any Liverpool players. You're right. If I knew Jota was starting, I'd probably have him in.
He's starting.
If I knew Gakpo was starting, I would consider it. Although I need Gakpo to show me. I'm not from Missouri, but I need him to show me.
He won the Golden Boot.
In a tournament that's not the Premier League. So
Still.
whoopee! I hope for his sake. I like Gakpo. I think he's a really good player. Has he produced in the Premier League? No, he has not. Other than Salah, no one produces for Liverpool at the moment except for Salah consistently. Darwin had his moments.
I do wonder about Watkins. What
What are you seeing? You got sources.
No, there's no source. There's no nothing.
Watkins led the Premier League in points last year, did he not?
It's just that it tailed off.
Okay. Get tired. It's the beginning of the season.
Right. I'm just saying even
didn't
at
have
the
Euros.
at the very beginning.
Oh no, he did have Euros. He did have Euros.
Right. At the very beginning it was ticking along, and then he had that explosion period where he kind of distanced himself, which lasted quite a while. And then end of season was it dropped. But yes, for sure. Euros were definitely a factor in that. That's not going away. That will only intensify.
Right.
All of the Aston Villa, it's something that is, I believe it was The Guardian, but somebody just put together basically just look at all of Aston Villa's transfers in. Youth movement, is kind of the only way to describe it, is just that 7 of the 8 signings that they've made so far are all 23 or under. Ross Barkley's the only exception. And even Ross Barkley,
It's wild.
that's not a.
They brought him in to be
I
a
think
LRD.
he's good. No, I think, and I don't see. After the season he had last season, I don't think anybody sees that as a bad signing. I think that ends up being a positive for them.
Right.
And then the other 3 signings from the winter transfer window are all 25 or under. So it's filling the obvious need. That was the stat on them was that they were the
Oldest.
the oldest team in the Premier League last season.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just, Douglas Luiz being gone, there's a penalty vacancy. There's some question whether or not Ollie, despite sucking horribly at it for so long, whether he may get that back. I would doubt it. I would imagine it goes to Yuri Tielemans if he's if he's on the pitch, which you'd think he would be more.
You would hope.
No, there's like, so one of the, because I've seen one of the strategies I saw for Ollie Watkins is get him game week 3.
Okay.
Let the first 2 game weeks go. Villa at West Ham, which is fine, and then home to Arsenal, bad. But then game week 3 on is
they owned Arsenal last year.
Well,
at the moment, Emery greater than Arteta in head-to-head.
Okay.
Technically.
You're I wrote that in as a joking note, but I've said it once already. I'm just
it's tough to argue. I don't think
you
that's
want
the case.
that?
No, I don't want that.
Okay.
But at this point, I can't argue against it. You can't argue against the fact that Villa got him last year. Now, do I think that Arteta spent most off-season trying to figure out how the hell Villa keeps beating us? Yeah, I think he did, because I think he's that he's like...
He's a little bit in his head.
Yeah, probably. Most greats are, Travis. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. And so,
just as like if you want to schedule out some of your transfers, that was one that I was like, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
At West Ham,
Sure.
I don't see what the problem is with that. It's that game week 2, like regardless of the result in game week 1, game week 2 is
right.
It's home, but it's Arsenal,
Yes.
and that no one really wants that, I don't think at all. But then 3 on, it's Leicester, Everton, Wolves, Ipswich, Manchester United, Fulham, Bournemouth, Spurs. I would include Spurs in that in game week 10. I mean,
Spurs they don't love clean sheets.
That's an 8-week run where you're like, no, I want my attackers in those games. So if there was a way, if there was like but that that would require you to have someone, like, I don't know that you're doing more expensive. It's just that you'd have to have that money.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hate that as a strategy. It's one that was, I don't know. That is a published strategy that for me, I was like, I can kind of see that.
Okay. Yeah.
But
all right,
why not Havertz?
Where?
You're forward.
Instead of Watkins.
Yes, why not Havertz anyway?
I don't know that he'll be starting in a forward position.
Really? Explain to the folks
Gabriel
at home.
Jesus has looked really good.
And I have that in my Arsenal notes. Is there a chance that Jesus, because of his preseason form, could cut into the minutes? But I thought Havertz...
He'll just go back to the midfield. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why at the moment, unless I know that Havertz is actually the starting striker, he's relisted as a forward this season, position change. So now...
Yes, you don't want him playing as a midfielder if he is FPL'd as a forward.
Correct. So at the moment, I think there's a good chance, because Jesus has had a little bit more pep in his step, been zipping around, been getting in good spots.
Zipping around.
And I just need to see the last game before the first game.
Okay.
And if Jesus starts Havertz is in the midfield...
This is more anti-Havertz propaganda. This is body language all over again. He doesn't look like he cares. His facial expressions.
No. Listen, Havertz has been awesome. I just don't know. He will be on the pitch for Arsenal, guaranteed. I just don't know if he's going to be in the number 8 or if he's going to be in the number 9.
Okay. Yeah,
he's not an 8. He's not that far back. He's not playing box to box like an 8.
No, I mean, they play next to the 10, right? Sort of, typically. Anyways.
Depends on the system, I guess. But
to me, that the Arsenal double up seems, I don't know, it feels pretty...
light?
Essential.
Oh. You talking about essential in offense?
Yeah, but just not having 3 is surprising to me. For you.
Well, sometimes I'm too close to my club and I get scared.
Having a defender and a midfielder, and that the midfielder is Saka, and that it's not. Yeah, I mean it sounds right. There's nothing bad about it. It's just maybe I'm just assuming too much for you. Dude.
All right. Well, listen, I've made plenty of mistakes, and I can't wait to wild card in the proper team.
I
which is typically my MO. So
I like it.
if I can ever get to week 5, if I ever get to week 5, if it happens this year and I don't wild card, it will absolutely be a record. Honestly, I think if I get to week 4, it will be a record. Yeah. One time I think I've made it past the international break. But anyways, here we go. All right. Which one of you gents is next? That's my team. I think it's going to be fine.
Heads or tails?
Here's my real quick, but while you guys are deciding, you can flip, just keep talking. Fails. You two talk. What? One thing that worries me is I can't say I have a clear-cut captain nailed every week. Technically, if Saka's playing, you could put him, Palmer, you could put him, Heung-min Son. There's 3 good options there. If you have a Salah or Haaland or both, you feel pretty good every single week about captaining one of them. Last season, I planned on owning Haaland the entire season. And
let's hear from Liverpool first before we say that perma-captain Salah is good.
Okay. And I captained him the whole time. Real quick, by the way, with Haaland, if you have, we'll get to that. I'll bring that point up if you have Haaland. Travis?
My formation is a 2-5-5-3.
Okay.
I have no idea how I'm going to set up, but probably 3-5-2.
Okay.
It just depends on the matchups up front. So I have Raya as my goalkeeper.
Oh, okay.
I think, yes, I have Raya as my goalkeeper. I also picked up Danny Ward. So there's that. He's a 4.
So you're okay. Interesting.
It's irrelevant. I also have $2 in the bank, so that's
that.
That is which the ultimate
really
goal is to be able to pivot quickly if I need to.
Okay.
So, and I have one player in my midfield that is helping me to facilitate that. So, my back line is Ben White.
Okay.
Josko.
Who?
Gvardiol.
Thank you.
He's Josko.
Go ahead.
I'd rather say Josko than Gvardiol.
All right, whatever.
8 Nori, because he was on a tear, and I think he's worth a shout.
Wolves to probably be fun.
Ian Maatson, who we talked about.
Okay.
Because I'm going to roll the dice and try and get in on the ground floor on that one.
Okay.
May regret it, but I don't have to play him, especially if I'm playing a back 3.
Right.
Because I've already named 3 other players that are going to start and are going to play and are going to be fine. And then I have Leif Davis.
Okay.
Oh.
Switch.
So inside track is he's the real deal. So we've got our contact, which we will talk more about in our promotion teams pod. We've got a contact that is a long time Ipswich fan.
For this. That'd be great.
Tractor Boys for life. I think he has it tattooed across his chest. We're not. But anyways, I'll say he says he's the real deal. His numbers in the championship are very, very good.
Yeah.
But
will it translate?
Yeah,
maybe. But he's 4-5.
That's always the question.
The difficult part for this play is though that it's not a secret. The vast majority of the people that are looking for a differential, looking for a cheap defender, are going to pick him up.
Right.
It's less than 10.
But the fact of the matter is, though,
it's almost 10.
No, it's way less than 10.
It's way less than 10. It's 3.2 right now.
3.2.
But the fact that a promotion player is coming in at 3%, and it's not because he's 4-0 and he's just a filler, says enough, I think. So Dave, I think that ownership will go up.
You want the numbers?
On Leif Davis?
On Davis?
Yeah. We'll talk about it
more.
But it's worth noting because it's not crazy.
I like those numbers. My concern is they're only relevant if you're getting clean sheets.
Right.
And so if Ipswich can't pull the clean sheets, then are those individual numbers relevant?
That is fair because Ipswich is not a clean sheet team. Ipswich is an attacking powerhouse.
Right. So that he
likes to get forward.
He's a team of the season rated player for the championship.
Okay.
So he's, at least by Sofa score, 10th highest rated player in the championship. Number 1 in assists. So he had 18 assists in the championship last season.
More assists than anyone else?
Number one, and broke the previous championship record for assists held by Kieran Trippier and someone else.
Wow.
So the previous record was 14, and he beat that, in February or something?
Yeah, it was pretty early.
March, something like that. He beat it with months ago. Created 126 chances. Number one by a margin. So
wow.
If we're looking at chance creation, it really just comes down to, is Ipswich going to be able to put it in the back of the net in the Premier League? That's what it's not going to be about clean sheets. It's going to be about, are they going to put it in the back of the net? And the thing about Ipswich, and we'll talk about this later, the thing about Ipswich is that everyone was scoring. They weren't relying on one skilled player. Right. They were relying on service and structure, and it worked in the championship. So it could crash and burn.
Arsenal has proven that could work.
Sure.
So at least for second place.
Oh, and so it's too bad their opening schedule is like the last two teams you want to see as your first two, which is home to Liverpool and then at Manchester City. Although,
what kind of witch doctoring was going on there? Come on.
I feel like that happened to somebody else last season too. Did that happen to Sheffield? I don't know. But either way,
kind of brutal.
You're not so the other part of it is, you're not bringing anyone in to start them in game weeks 1 or 2 anyway. So what difference does it make on really? Do you want to start them against Liverpool? I mean, maybe. No,
I don't think so. Liverpool's defense looks terrible,
but beyond that, I mean, after game week 2 at Manchester City, it's normal. It's Fulham, Brighton, Southampton, Villa, whatever, West Ham, Everton, Brentford, Leicester. I mean, that's a going out at least of games where you're like, oh, okay, well, we have a chance here at least on paper. No, just that they conceded a lot of goals last season, and one of the stats, it was Tom Freeman on Fantasy Scout did a write up of them, and it was some good numbers, but good to know bad numbers. Conceded 2 or more goals in 39% of their fixtures.
Ooh.
So, are you gonna be wide open?
Yes.
Are you gonna go after it all the time?
Yes.
And having a manager who's like, that means we might lose some. And I think that is the question: is it works? Games, they only lost 6 games in the championship last season, but drew more games than Leicester. You know what I mean? So those draws, like you see we see it every year in the Premier League.
Mercy.
Well, it's just that we've talked about it before. City loses more games than Liverpool does in a season, but they win more because they are going after it a little harder.
That's true.
3 points is better than not 3 points. So anyway,
all right.
The whole point is that I understand the choice, and we could presumably in a promoted club podcast, we'd talk about it.
All right.
More.
Presumably.
Travis, your midfield.
Jared Bowen.
Okay.
Anthony Gordon.
You don't want to yell at him about Gvardiol being in the team?
He belongs in the team.
It's tough to go against
expensive,
Yasko.
Okay. Continue with your midfield.
So Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon, Diogo Jota, Mo Salah.
Wow.
Bowen, Jota, Salah, Gordon. Okay.
And Oscar Bob.
No one's having that. That is a completely unique, out of however many millions of teams.
I agree.
No way anyone else has that exact 5.
How much is Bob?
Chance.
He's 5-0.
I like that.
I think Oscar Bob
if I can find
the guy for the first couple weeks to bet on. So I have 2-0 in the bank because I've got Bob at 5. I just don't see a lot of other options for City in the midfield right now.
Okay.
And he's playing well in preseason. He got a lot of minutes last year.
Not Rodri?
He's not even back yet. If from celebrating all of his racist chanting, wasn't that him?
I don't think Rodri did that.
It was something.
No one got him on film doing that.
Yeah, it was something not good.
It was the Argentinians.
It was, what did he do? He did something weird that he's in trouble for. Anyways, the Enzo Fernandez was the one I think they got the chance.
That's who you're thinking of.
But Rodri was in trouble. So Enzo Fernandez, Rodri, and Darwin are the ones that are in trouble and may not be able to play at the beginning of the season. The noise was that it doesn't sound like anything's going to happen to any of them, but still. All to say, Oscar Bob I think is a good pick. It could blow up in my face, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a big deal because I do have 3 playable forwards potentially. My playable forwards are Ollie Watkins, Michelle Antonio, and Darwin.
You have Darwin in your team?
I do right now. And the reason why I have Darwin in my team is because I've watched all the Liverpool preseason games, and I think
if you just had someone in the middle, they're screaming for a striker, right?
Their build-up play it makes sense, and it is screaming, like you said, for a 9 to be there to pick up the ball in tight spaces, which he's good at, turn and just rip a shot. He's going to get more opportunities. I'm not saying he's gonna land them, right? But he's going to get more opportunities in this system than he did in the previous season. So I think Darwin is the pick. He's 7.5, so is Cody Gakpo. So if the Darwin bet doesn't pay off, Gakpo is going to be the beneficiary, and he could easily come in.
What about Jota?
Same thing with Jota.
Are you sure Jota's starting?
Yes, he's the only one that's back, and he's fit, and he's playing
starting
well.
Where?
Honestly, he might be playing center forward.
Okay, well, where's Darwin?
On the bench, not playing yet.
Okay,
because he's again not back yet.
You're concerned about people owning him. Season starts. He's not playing because they're not paying attention enough because he's not back yet, and his price dropping while you own him.
No, not this early.
That doesn't concern you?
No, not this early. Nobody's picking him up this early. So nobody's going to drop him this early.
All right, what's his ownership?
So
I'll look it up.
The issue is that Darwin,
8%,
Diogo, Diaz, and Gakpo are all 4 at 7.5 right now, and some mixture of those 2 and one of each basically between Diogo and Diaz and Darwin and Gakpo. So that's going to be the mix up, and I have a feeling once that's settled, they're going to be the ones you want to own. And so I'm setting up to have a Liverpool player. It may not be the right one in each of those positions, so we can shift if necessary to the
Wasn't
right
it
guy.
amazing that during the Copa America and for Uruguay, every time Darwin had a chance to do something different than he does for Liverpool, he did the exact same kind of things that he does for Liverpool? It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Is there also any type of ban for him fighting fans?
I haven't heard of anything as of now.
Not in England.
FIFA just doesn't care.
Well, I think it would be a ban that would affect him playing at the beginning of the season. But he didn't have a terrible season.
You want to talk about Homer? Learn Homerism.
Look, the guy scored 11 goals, double digits. He played 2,000 minutes.
I am slightly shocked at the amount of.
You
could have gotten
11 goals, 11 assists.
Lowercase
11 goals,
G
11
Gunner
assists.
over here.
Let's go. He plays Ipswich, Brentford,
all caps
and then
red
United.
right here.
Come on.
It's true. I got a lowercase G.
Wow.
Now I'm a big G.
Liverpool's offense is going to do more than it has.
I would love to think that Diogo J is going to do anything again.
I would love too.
I would love to
I loved
believe
owning
it.
him.
He is easily the best finisher
that they have.
Which is why
easily.
Yes.
But you can't guarantee me he's starting.
He will at the beginning of the season, absolutely. Ipswich,
but then why are you
away,
wasting money on Darwin?
Because I have Jota in the team. He's a midfielder. He's classified as a midfielder. I have both of them.
Did he get recalled? No, he was midfielder.
He was
last
a midfielder
year.
last year because he says a
but,
winger.
Okay. But my point is, he'll be playing in the striker position.
Which is why I want to own him.
Sure,
at least
I
to start
totally
with.
get that. Then why spend the money on Darwin?
Because I'm going to transition to somebody else probably if Darwin is not playing. But I think Darwin is going to come in, and Jota's going to move outside, and Darwin's going to move into the middle. They're not going to play Darwin outside. They need a center forward.
They have.
Klopp has, but not in this system. There's no way. There's Jota or Diaz will be playing on the left. Salah will be on the right.
Not to be too hateful here, but I never hear in this system more than from Liverpool people. In this system,
they have.
I know it sounds
three
hateful.
people that
I'm
can
not
play center
coming at
forward.
you. I know they do.
They have three
You're
people
right.
that play center forward.
They got problems.
Jota, Gakpo,
and my experience,
and Nunez.
In my experience is Darwin.
The only one
Darwin
that is
actually,
back and is fit and is playing is Jota. He will play center forward against Ipswich.
I think Darwin looks best when he's on the left.
I'd rather have Gakpo on the left.
I hear you. Jota's got a better header anyways.
He's going to play in the middle. He's going to play in the middle.
You're right. Brian, I wish there was a ranker that you could throw your team into and it'll show you how many people have your exact team, because I think Travis truly picked a unique team, and honestly,
which is always the goal for me.
I'm jealous.
For all your talk all last season when you're starting to get frustrated, and you were struggling there for a while.
Yeah.
Legitimately struggling there for a while.
I quit in February
because you were tired.
On record, I
He
quit.
was tired of templates.
You were tired of templates.
I hate it. Yeah,
it drove me nuts. And so, I am the same way. I don't want to have the same guys as everybody else.
AIFC has taken over so much content creation, and it can go straight to hell. I will never do that. Never.
Yes.
So the title of this episode is F off AIFC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, no, I'm fine. If that's how you need to go about your business, playing this game, can you imagine doing that with fantasy American football? Can you, I get it. The guys doing deep dive on data and stuff like that.
That.
That's the thing.
Because then they're trying to win money on DraftKings and other sites.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And you see it every week. It's the anomaly picks that are the things that do the stuff that you hate, and then you're like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That guy just did
You're so right.
That guy did a 21 touchdown scoring. This is not an NFL football podcast.
Sure.
But a 21 touchdown scorer parlay, and Chris Rodriguez from the Washington Commanders was in the parlay, and he does it.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where you're like, every week where you're like, that guy just beat me, and I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it's not that far off in this game. I've thankfully did see it from a few content creators saying like, yeah, that's not me. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You guys have fun. I see a lot of people talking about doing that kind of stuff. Fine for you. If that's how you got to play the game, enjoy finishing 1,200th with the other 9 million people who are doing that exact same thing. Good job. Definitely do not think of it for yourself. Whatever. I'm not trying to be that insulting about it. I mean, you have to have a brain to think about clicking the button, and then it won't work otherwise. Is there any other criticism of his team?
It's all criticism, isn't it?
No, I mean, again, how could I possibly criticize when I might be after week 2 trying to get to his team? You know what I'm saying?
It's unlikely, but
he's got too many Reds in there. But other than that,
podcast bet, will Dave have Oscar Bob in his midfield?
That's
in game week 2
or game week 3.
There's no way. There's no way
3.
I'm taking that bet. That might be an excellent selection. I saw him a little bit against Barcelona the other day, and he looked really good. And he's got a great name. And so that's a great combination.
It's a very traditional Norwegian name.
2 first names, as Matthew Barry says. Always a crowd pleaser.
Ryan.
All right, we're running out of time here on our memory card.
Fire off. Travis, how much? Yeah, we got it. We got it. Brian.
You got 26 minutes. That's more than enough time.
Flecken and Pickford, goalkeepers.
Oh, wow. That's the
team.
first samesies.
Yep, Flecken and Pickford. It was Flecken and Dean Henderson. I did see, I think it was Fantasypedia FPL account had a rotation. You know, there's so many rotation planners that you can find out there about who rotates well with who. I don't normally care about those because again, it's based on a color-coded matchup rating system, and those shift too fast
difficult
for my liking.
Yeah.
However, I understand why you do it. But no, it's Flecken and Pickford. I talked myself more into Pickford as I was looking through like Everton numbers and just looking at like, hey, Tarkowski and Branthwaite were a lot closer than it seems, even though Branthwaite feels like he distanced himself. And you look through and you're like, whoa, Tarkowski was real close.
And what Tarkowski was hurt for a portion of that too. So
and then because I had Mikolenko on my team too for a minute, and I was like, because I'm thinking like, wow, he was really good there for a second, and I look and I'm like, oh, his numbers are not anywhere near. But all you would be hoping is for the attacking side of it. He took a lot of shots. So I'm like, well, maybe that'll translate. Anyway, he's out of my team.
Okay.
I had, so right now it's Gvardiol, Porro, Munoz, Crystal Palace Munoz.
Oh, okay.
Leif Davis, and Barco from Brighton and Hove Albion, 4-0 defender who will probably start on the left,
Igor.
while Valentin Barco.
Oh, no, that's a different guy.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that's my back five. Do you want any explanation of anyone in there?
It was Yasko, Porro. Not surprised by either of those. And then
now
you know what? But I might have Yasko in my team before I start.
I will
before I get to because I currently don't have one City player in my team.
The very first team that I put together, I felt way more strongly at the time about Gvardiol and Trent. I know that's expensive. I don't know if I care. Trent, tell me why or why not Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I wanted Trent in my team, and I technically have set up so that I can pull him in, but I don't think he's going to be playing week 1. I just don't think he's going to be ready to go.
Because of Euros?
I just don't think he's going to be ready to go. New system. He's coming back late. You've got Connor Bradley, who's been blowing the doors off the place. He's gonna have to unseat Bradley and get up to speed. It's just I just see it's more likely that Trent is going to end up in a 6 than he is at right back right now.
Okay.
Now will he end up at 6? Probably not. But at this stage, because Bradley is so strong and Trent is not there, I don't think we start the season with anybody but Bradley at right back.
And Bradley, oh geez, 5-0.
Yeah.
No thanks.
That's more of a gamble than Leif Davis.
I think I want it to be Trent. I want to think that the best of Trent that's still there and that it should take over. It seemed like that
it probably will.
Well, it just felt like it should have happened for England at some point, and it didn't.
Yeah, that was Southgate's fault.
But whatever. I mean, I can't pick that team. I can only pick my own. And I'm just looking back, 122 points for Trent last season in 28 games. So felt like he didn't play much for a while. Yeah. Still finishes as the 7th highest scoring defender.
Yeah, he missed a lot of minutes.
Finished 2nd for defenders in shots. When I saw that, I'm like, when did he shoot? I don't remember him shooting all that much. And then if you break the season, one of the things I do it every season just to kind of see like, oh, weird, that guy was like, you can kind of see these like names creeping up into like the top 15 to 20ish on scores. So if you do it in like 5-week blocks and then 10-week blocks over the season, and you see like, oh, that guy like Mbuemo's beginning of the season, like you should remember that, like the Brian Mbuemo. Sure. Of course, Tony was suspended, whatever, but Brian Mbuemo,
and
awesome beginning of the season, right? But you look through the thing. Trent is the only defender last season to ever lead a 5-week block of games.
That's wild.
His game weeks 6 to 10 last season. So games 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He scored 42 points in those 5 weeks. Was the highest scoring player in FPL for 5 weeks. So I'm sure that's backed up by like one big game or something like that. You know what I mean? But still, like, he was the 3rd most chances created for the season and by far the number 1 for big chances created. Thank you again, Darwin Nunez. But I'm just saying, like he didn't have a great season last season, and he was this close to having the best season, or like at least in the conversation with the Arsenal defenders. Like, how many times do we talk about how pathetic the Liverpool defense was last season?
Yeah.
And Trent still finishes as 7th best. Like,
with 8 clean sheets.
Please, like and now that like 7, you look at like last season where you're like, no, way too expensive. But there were still moments where it's like, no, it was viable. You probably should have had him in your team.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, no, they dropped him back $1.50. Great. I want that. I want him in. But I pulled him just because of that exact reason. What does game week 1 look like?
Yeah, it won't be game week 1, but he will be an important own early in the season. It's just a matter of how early is the question.
What if he does start game week 1?
I will be really surprised. You want your best players on the field, and I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but it's just not likely. It's just not likely. Again, Bradley has been the best player on the field for the last 2. Well, at least the game against Real Betis.
Okay,
easily the best player on the field. And mind you, he's gotten more touches in the 6-yard box than any player on the front line.
Wow, okay.
during the last 2 games, which is insane too. So talk about, can Trent make waves and do well this season? Absolutely, because that's where I want.
Is
Trent.
that a system thing?
I did everything
for Robertson
I could do
for Robertson and Trent.
Robertson is past.
No
it,
one's
I
system's
think.
like Liverpool's. Liverpool has system
Really?
after system.
I think so.
You think he's done?
What?
Yeah. Well, first off, he's
This is breaking news?
He's nursing an injury, but he's also he's old and falling apart at this point. He will play. He will play well, but he's not going to be a reliable own at all this season, I don't think. Simicast looks pretty good.
I'm just thinking in the first 7 game weeks, other than away to Old Trafford in game week 3, the first 7 games for Liverpool are games where you're like, here's your chance.
Yeah,
Here
they should run away with a lot of stuff.
You want to get things, hit the ground running. Here you go. Here are 6 of 7 games where you can do that before you have to play Chelsea and away to Arsenal.
Yeah, Liverpool's defense does not look good. Their matchups early on are hopefully going to help them to find their feet. They are missing, obviously, Virgil van Dijk through preseason. The earlier he gets back, the better, because I do expect him to play week 1. But they're very sloppy and confused at the back. So
Gvardiol to me is he's his own character. I feel like 6 is wrong. I feel like it's maybe the one wrong price.
He should be 6'5".
What do you?
That I've seen.
Yeah, well,
He should be 6'5".
How is he let? The only thing is that it was
I didn't
game
realize
week.
he was 6'0".
It was game week 30 because it started in game week 30. He did. I mean, he's sporadically
And
in the
he
lineup
was like
prior to that.
10, 9, 8, 10, 12 or something crazy.
Right. It said he finishes the season. I will give you the number.
You have it exactly.
I'll have it. Game week 30 to 38, he scored 79 points. Third most of any player. So I know they played extra games in there, but whatever. 79 points in the final 9 game weeks. He finished in that time with the 3rd most shots for defenders, most shots on target, and he was in the box more than everyone except Andy Robertson. 34 touches in the box. And he's got an assist in preseason. And he returned to Manchester City for the American tour.
So he's currently at 32.5% ownership. He's
totally understandable.
Yasko?
Second most. It looks like.
Dave, I like the Crystal Palace. I like the Crystal Palace defender pick.
I ended up doing.
I was
gonna say, I know Munoz at one point was kind of a trendy pick, and then did he just follow the lineup last year? Or?
No, he started a lot. And, here's more of your numbers, because to me, it's you got Anderson.
He's 5-0 and Anderson's 4.
You got Anderson and Gahey at 4.5.
Yeah,
and you got Munoz and Tyreek Mitchell. I don't
at 5-0.
Right. I wouldn't hate
you don't
that
hate
either.
Tyreek Mitchell.
No, not at all.
No.
I don't know that it's hard to say. All you have from last season is that Anderson was the number one scoring goalkeeper or defender for a minute, and then it was early on in the season, and then they faded until Glasner came in, and then it changed again. And then Gahey was injured so much, but Gahey obviously was good enough to start for England.
Sure.
So Gahey and the Anderson-Gahey pairing is going to continue to work, because that's going to be, unless something weird happens, it will be with Chris Richards also. Mm-hmm. And then you got Munoz and Tyreek Mitchell. I think Munoz or Mitchell, I think they're worth the extra 0.5, and I think for Munoz the difference is this. So I'll do this as a kind of an AG. So game week 26 AG after Glasner. Do you like that?
Oh.
Like AD.
Wow.
Munoz, 55 points from game week 26 on.
AG.
Tied for 5th most points among defenders. Would you like to know who he was tied with after Glasner came in? You know who else scored 55 points from game week from that point on?
Tyreek Mitchell?
Gabriel.
Yeah. Shoot.
Tyreek Mitchell had 53 points from the time Glasner came in.
All right.
Chris Richards was a top 11 defender in that time too. So even I think you'd say he got in on the action on that too.
Nice.
Munoz created 16 chances, which was 4th most for defenders. He finished with 4 FPL assists, so 4 total assists, which was tied with Sergio Reguilon for first, for most assists.
Wow.
I know it's weird. Reguilon, what a weird year that he would even be in there. And then Munoz was second to Andy Robertson for touches in the opposition box. He had 38 touches in the opposition box. So I'm just looking through, and I'm like, the extra 0.5 goes to a player who, after Oliver Glasner comes in, it just changed the way, very obviously changed the way those particular defenders were doing what they were doing.
Okay.
And Tyreek Mitchell is close in all of those categories. So it's not, and I remember doing that at the end of last season, where those two in particular, I know that a lot of pundits were going toward Munoz, and to me, it was not a lot between him and Mitchell. And by the end, it ends up being pretty close between both of them. But either way, so that's what he's doing in there. Again, Barco, the left back for Brighton. That's just I
didn't know about that guy. I mean, is that?
Yeah, when I looked him up, I hear what you're saying. I think he was playing as a 6 at certain points during the season last year too.
It's just that he's on a lot of their set pieces, and that's the thing that anybody who cares about Brighton has said repeatedly about him. I mean, I can give you the sources for sure. I mean, it was FPL. So FPL Focal was one of the sites that had it. He actually shared a really great breakdown. It was a Reddit thread from a user named Nevermind721. I'm going to cite all my sources. I don't care. I don't care if they're weird Reddit names or whatever. But no, but then and then FPL Instinctive, I think, was the other one. So there are multiple sites that did kind of breakdowns of this is what Hertzler, the manager for Brighton, this is what his, tactically, this is what they're trying to do. This is where Barco fits into that. But yeah, he's still under 8% selected. I imagine that might, I don't know. I don't think it'll go up all that much. And I think it's mostly because it's more about when does a Estupiñán come back and who fits here. There are multiple. Brighton is one of the weirdest choices. They have so many players at all the levels, kind of except for Dunk and Van Heck. They have so many players that can play almost all the other positions, and so with a new manager, it's great. We saw how awesome Matoma is, but other guys can play there too. Yeah. Solly March is fit again, but now they've got Minta from where was he from? Newcastle, I think, was where it
Newcastle via
belonged.
Feyenoord, yeah.
Right, and so, but Joao Pedro can play multiple positions. Buonanotte can play a lot of those spots. Like they have so many guys where it's like, well, who's gonna be in there? It's like, well, they all might. That all of them could. So it's like that with him. It's just that everyone has said that his set piece delivery is just kind of on another level, and it fits so perfectly with the manager.
You got 4 minutes.
We talked about Leif Davis already. Midfield right now was Salah, Son, Eze, Nkunku, and dead defender. So 4-5 defender. So that was Harry Winks.
Okay.
Before I made the changes, though,
I like Nkunku.
I do like Nkunku.
I had no money.
But you have no Cole.
I had no money because initially it was Cole Palmer. I switched off of Cole because of game week 1 and also minutes risk coming off of Euros.
Okay.
With the way it is now, Harry Winks, I have $8.50 in the bank. So Harry Winks I would switch probably to a 3-5-2. Harry Winks would become someone better.
What? Who is in your front line?
Havertz.
Not Holland.
Havertz, Isak, useless 4-5 forward.
Okay.
So I was going to play just the two forwards.
Just setting yourself up for you're giving yourself the flexibility to go anywhere.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about the thing I like about that setup is you still get, like, to me, it was the stability of Salah, the ceiling of Son, what I still feel like is an excellent player in Eze, a guy with, so I hate Nkunku as a pick. I hate it. And I hate that I would end up thinking about it because it's strictly because
he's going to play center forward.
Hype plus expectations plus hope of not getting injured. Like all of
his name's not Reece James.
All of the things that were like, oh, this guy's awesome. It's going to be, this is a new era for Chelsea. And then, he cannot get every time he steps out on the pitch, it was a new injury and it was another setback or whatever. So, yeah, great. He scored a goal in preseason. Did he score tonight? I mean, we didn't look. But either way, the quotes on him are very good. Manager said it this week of like, I see a guy who can play kind of anywhere.
And Nkunku scored.
He did tonight.
Madueke scored.
Madueke is really good, man.
And Nkunku took a 3rd-minute penalty. So
not gonna happen. No.
It's not open play.
Not a real goal. So anyway,
and Madueke scored a pen in the 79th minute.
Those are Cole. That's a Cole Palmer brace. You might as well edit that in there as a Cole Palmer brace. No, I understand the thought process behind it. Chelsea makes me nervous, and so week 1 Chelsea, like so many people putting him in here, like FPL Harry, who's extremely good at this game. FPL Harry has him as like the number 1 underpriced player in the game. Like
Palmer?
No. Nkunku,
yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he is. He might end up being the most under. I don't know. You don't know what you're getting with this team. So great. Some good preseason results. My favorite note so far of anyone is from fantastic, very funny follow Hindu Monkey on Twitter. Years where scouting players from meaningless preseason games has resulted in great starts in FPL. 2023, no. 2022, no. 2021, yes. 2020, no. 2019, no. Like, just goes through the link and then says 1992 to 2017, also effing no. Like, I think the idea is talking yourself into someone because they're doing good over the summer is like stupid. Chris Wood is having yet again another excellent summer. And so there are so many people like, oh yeah,
look at Chris
He's
Wood.
doing it. Like, what awesome. It's like last year we scored like 9 goals in preseason or something like that and then proceeded to do nothing for the longest time.
He wasn't that bad.
He was good at a point for a while until he was not. So it was yet again another
Playing
time where you're like,
championship
all
teams in
right,
preseason.
well, Chris Wood, I guess.
Who had more fantasy points, Chris Wood or Gakpo?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think Chris Wood did.
I think he did too.
Chris Wood did. Who had more fantasy points, Chris Wood or Darwin?
It was close, but I think it was Darwin.
I think Darwin did.
He had 11 goals. 11
Darwin
assists.
outscored him by 1 point.
Wow.
Chris Wood
It was good.
or Nico Jackson?
Chris Wood.
I think Nick Jackson got him.
by 10.
So the
decent.
consideration then to me, so I put Havertz in there because I think in the front line because I think Havertz, he was your second. Was he second or third in the second half of the season last season?
No, listen.
He's there.
Third highest scoring forward
If
overall.
he's starting striker,
He was
I
the
would
third
put him
highest
there.
scoring forward last season. Finished with 180 points. So as a forward,
No, but those are midfield points.
right. So it's going to come down. I understand that. However, but also he would benefit, I think, more from forward scoring.
He's getting less per goal.
But he's getting more bonus.
Maybe.
It might balance itself
All right,
out.
Fair. All right.
Either way,
Havertz, Isak, and
Isak to me, one of another guy where I'm like, is that price right? It feels like it could have come up a little bit, but whatever.
Isak?
Isak's everyone owns Isak.
8-5.
How can you not?
All right, now
the Newcastle schedule.
bottom line is you don't have Holland.
I do not have
No one
Holland,
does.
and
No one in
the
this pod does.
well, the news on Holland. All Pep had to say is he's dealing with some. He was dealing
Completely
with some muscular issues.
If he wasn't hurt, what would you do?
he was already scoring.
He's got the eight pound dollars.
You didn't answer me. If he isn't hurt, are you starting him? Because
Community Shield is going to answer all the questions. In that case, it would be probably I would probably do it. I would probably go Havertz up to Holland.
Okay.
And then find a midfielder because then it's still $1 to play around with in the midfield. There's still $1 to make Harry Winks turn into a 5.5.
Yeah.
Oscar Bob.
Because I don't think I would want to do. I don't think I would
think
want
Holland's
to.
going to have a problem.
I don't think I would want to have a 4-4-2. I don't think I would want to play
Right.
4 defenders.
I think it's going to be a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 the entire season.
Right,
Yeah.
and right now it's 4.5. It's 4.5 forward, which the 5.5 forward. Then I don't know. Is Adam Armstrong going to score goals for Southampton in the Premier League?
We need to talk about that next week. All right, we're down to
anyway.
2 minutes left on our memory card.
Here's my issue with Holland. This is my biggest thing is I remember back about 5 or 6 seasons, Kun Aguero came into he was a top scoring fantasy player. Come into the season, he is priced at 14.
Yeah.
No one owned him the entire season. His price put him in a category once the season got going that it didn't matter what he did on the pitch, that he was not worthy of that price. And I just think that price, as good as Holland is going to put him in the Aguero category this season.
It's tough.
I could have $2 left and turn Harry Winks into Saka. Do you know what I'm saying? To have a midfield of Salah, Son, Saka, Eze. I could have $1 left over and make Harry Winks be Cole
Yeah, but
Palmer.
you're not doing that with Holland.
No, but I'm saying that's what I mean. Like Holland.
Right. Gives you can
Is it going to be that big of a deal to not captain him?
No, that's why I don't own him.
All right. Wrap her up.
All right.
Otherwise, we're not going to have anything to post.
Understood. All right.
We're
All
out
that
of
being
time.
said,
There are so many other.
You're still talking. We don't have any more.
There's so many other considerations. That's all I want to say.
all right. Listen, I'm not against there being a part B to this at some point.
Yeah,
before the season starts.
100%, yes.
So
Yeah.
let's not put that out of the question. All right. All that being said, gentlemen, awesome to get back in the saddle. Fantastic. We covered so much good material. It was fun doing the team reveals, as none of us knew each other's teams. So that was fantastic. And it was fun to hear Travis's 1 in 10 million team. is unbelievable. And he will smoke me, no doubt, week 1. I cannot wait for that. All right. All that being said.
You want the league code?
Yes. Give that out quickly, Brian.
You run out of it.
I don't have it.
All right. We will give that out in the promotion pod. Promotion pod.
Now you're missing it.
Oh, my gosh. It's gone. Now you mute it. All right. In the promotion pod, you will give out that code. We will and we could also, we do have a Twitter account. We could post it or X. We could post it there as well. Hey, for the FPL America podcast, as we were literally up against the clock, this is David Smith. Until next time, Brian, you have it? You have it?
NM1UED. NM. N as in Nancy. M as in Mancy. That doesn't help at all. 1 UED. Join the FPL America podcast.
It literally, our audio just.
Did it get it?
All right, literally just got that and then died. All right.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.